Hello, welcome to the Self-Learning Podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start discussion on Unit 29, Theories of Modernization and Modernity. And our topic is the phenomena of modernity. Let us now turn to the related concept and a related process of modernization. For example, the phenomena of modernity. Thus, the term modernity is a term employed to discuss the stage of a society that is more developed than another society. This term is usually employed to describe a society that uses worldwide capitalism as the model to overall world development. Thus, when a society has the characteristics of modernity, it is named a modern society. On the other hand, the process of becoming a modern society is called modernization. The defining features of such modern societies are emergence of nation state, industrialization and capitalism, rise of democracy, heavier dependence on technological innovation, attendant urbanization, the overall development in mass media. In Western Europe, some of the defining features include Renaissance and Enlightenment, Reformation and Counter-Reformation, French Revolution and American Revolution, the Industrial Revolution. Many attempts have been made in sociology to try and define modernity. Some of the factors used to define modernity include disenchantment of the world, rationalization, mass society, secularization, democratization, and so on. Thus, modernity is often contextualized by comparing modern societies to pre or post modern societies. This in itself creates some problems in terms of being able to define modernity. This is especially difficult when we try to construct a three-stage model from pre-modern to modern and then on to post-modernity. The features we have noted is a movement from somewhat isolated communities to more large-scale integrated societies. In this sense, modernization could be understood as a process which is not unique to Europe alone. Thus, large-scale integration implies that there is a vibrant economy which reaches out to all parts of a nation state. This in itself is possible when mobility in the society has increased. Further, these developments imply specialization with is a society and linking up of sectors. However, these processes can sometimes appear to be paradoxical. Thus, a unique local culture loses its identity by these increasingly powerful influences of cultural factors. For example, folk tales, popular music, and homogenization of cultures, food recipes. These factors are found to exist in a greater or lesser extent in all local cultures and has to diversify them. This is found to be a great extent in the metropolitan towns where mobility is higher. Thus, bureaucracy and hierarchical aspect of governments and the industrial sector are the areas which grow in power in an unprecedented manner. However, the role of the individual still exists In such a society where there is dynamic competition and individualism, both exist side by side. This is then quite different from societies where the role of the individual is ascriptive. That is to say, the individual in the modern society is influenced by the more than family background and family preoccupations. Now, it is necessary to point of that such social changes are found at different levels of social integration and are not simply the features of the European society at any particular point of time. These changes can happen when two communities merge together. Thus, when two individuals develop a relationship, the division of roles also tend to merge. Again, in the process of globalization, we find the international flows of capital change the ground situations. Thus, while it can be said that modernity has some apparently contradictory elements, in reality, these can be reduced to several simple concepts related to the social change. How then does this view of modernity explain the worldwide influences of the West, Europe, and American societies since the Renaissance? Initially, we can say that the internal factor is that only in Europe that rational thinking began to substitute intellectual activities that were shrouded in superstitions and religion. Secondly, there was an external element as well, and this was the factor of the colonization, which created an exploitation nexus between these societies which were exploited and others which exploited the societies. However, we find that there are many traces of ancient societies which coexist within the umbrella of modernity. This includes joint families, small scale enterprise, vast income diversity, and so on. It has, however, been argued that the features may in fact be regarded as aspects of modernity itself rather than any threat to it. Modernization was very beneficial to society in many ways, especially in the field of health and in the field of nutrition. Thus, fatal diseases were controlled or eliminated, and the values of egalitarianism began manifesting themselves. However, some drawbacks are also there, and the picture is not just positive. Not only did technological advantages breed greater economic wealth, but also developed nuclear bombs, two of which were dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Nuclear technology still evokes negative responses when it is proposed to be used for military purposes. Similarly, the degradation of the environment and overall pollutions are well known. However, decreasing biodiversity, climate change all result from a hyper-individual society. Psychological problems and laxity of moral also create problems of modernity. Now let us wind up the session and take rest. Thank you very much for engaging yourself with a self-learning podcast.